Greetings, everyone. I hope you all been well. It's Thursday, May the 12th. I uh, I have some good news to report. My little stint with employment slash slavery didn't go through, so as it turns out, I will not be working slash slavery. So I'm very happy about that. The last couple days, I've been out taking nature hikes and the like. As you probably saw my slideshow on my channel. Been a very cleansing and clarifying last couple days for me. It's something I really needed to do. I'm glad I did it. I feel better now. And I suggest it to all of you, go out, go take a walk, go in the forest, go climb a tree. Just sit and absorb nature, just absorb it all. The sounds, the sights, the smells. It's a wonderful time to be doing such. If the weather is permitting for you, of course. Okay, today's vlog discussion is going to be about all these dimensions that you've heard of. I'm sure you've all heard of about, the fifth dimension. It's rampant on the internet right now with anyone spiritual or all the 2012 talk and all that. And so I'm going to tell you what my studies of the fifth dimension have revealed. A lot of these channelings that people are doing, they refer to the fifth dimension quite a bit and talk about fifth dimensional Earth. Okay, in my studies, guys, the fifth dimension is a dimension that exists between lifetimes. So, put that into context. In my opinion, the fifth dimension is what we would call death. A space in between lifetimes where time and linear time proceed backwards. These are just, this is my own hypothesis based on the studies that I've done into fifth dimension and fifth density. So, I'm a bit wary when all of these channelings and all of this talk of the fifth dimension and fifth dimensional Earth. Now, death is only an illusion. But at the same time, that's what I think to be the fifth dimension. So, I'm not trying to start panic or anything, but when you think about it, all this talk about fifth dimensional Earth means that we're going in between lifetimes, as in we no longer exist. So that may be what they're, pushing on. There may be some kind of catastrophic event where, we all move into the fifth dimension. And, there's one thing I don't hear much about is the fourth dimension and the fourth density. And studies on that, I haven't found too much on it. There's plenty on fifth dimension, third dimension, but fourth dimension is kind of a gray area. So in my opinion, the fourth dimension and density is probably what's going to be left of this Earth after this, catastrophic event or whatever. It's the so-called golden age. My studies have shown that there must be a great harvest of souls by the elite, or whoever you want to call them, to obtain the fourth density. And I believe that's what we're entering now. With all the deaths going on worldwide and seismic activity and, climate change, it's called dimensional bleed through. The fourth dimension is starting to bleed through into the third dimension, and has been for quite a while. That's why we're seeing all these lights in the sky and all this unexplained phenomena. That's what's happening now. Another thing I wanted to bring up real quick was space travel and spaceships. What do you define as a spaceship? And given my recent studies, I believe planets to be spaceships. I believe this planet Earth, is a spaceship. We're all on a spaceship right now, traveling through space. Just because, it's not, in our perception, man-made or Um, it doesn't bear any resemblance to a starship that, that's our society has put that image of a starship into our mind. A lot of people don't even think twice, could a planet be a starship? I think absolutely yes. And when you think about it, think about all the starships that are out there, all the planets. It's really, it opens a whole new door of thinking when you think about it that way. So, this Nibiru that's coming, I've seen studies that claim it's a starship, it's a comet, it's a binary star, it's a planet. To me anymore, a planet and a starship is the same thing. So, put that into your brain, guys. Think about that for a minute. Maybe, we've been looking at this whole deal wrong. Just a thought. But anyway, I want to get back to this fifth dimension real quick. I'll leave a link to a site I did a video on a while ago about the esoteric glossary. And this covers dimensional and density discussions pretty well. Of course, it's all hearsay unless it resonates with you. So, you know, that's another thing I wanted to touch on. Everything could be real or everything could be an illusion. A lot of some of the more staunch Christians and, religious people on my channel, they always tell me that, Satan is the great deceiver. And these aliens that we speak of are the fallen angels and serve him. So, they could be right, guys. Maybe they're correct. Maybe these aliens really are demons and fallen angels. And they serve Saturn, Satan, whatever you want to call it. But again, what if they're wrong? And what if these things really are angels or, aliens that seek peace? It's basically what I'm trying to tell you guys is, as I've told you before, remember that everything you've learned up to this point, you could be wrong. And I feel there's going to come a time when we have to make a drastic decision on whether what we had believed is truth or not. Because what if right now a spaceship descended from the sky and told you that the Earth is in immediate danger and you had to evacuate and you had to go with them? Would you go with them or would you stay? Myself, I can't answer that question until the time comes. Because I have to use my own perception and my instincts, which, very rarely will they steer us wrong. And then I would make my decision whether to go or not. But ultimately, I feel that any kind of visitation or extraterrestrial experience, you need to be wary of. You must be wary of it. It could be a ruse, a setup. A lot of us are so easily manipulated and tricked into believing something, just like this whole Bin Laden deal. Put it on the television and mainstream media, Bin Laden's dead. Oh, everybody's rejoicing, everybody believes it, except for, the few of us that know better. That's how gullible most of us have become. And many will try to exploit that and use it against us. So anyway, the last thing I want to do is cover this dimensional analysis again and give you my take on what I think each dimension is up to the fifth dimension. And that is the first dimension I believe to be a cellular level, a single cellular level, as in bacterium, etc. The second dimension I believe to be sort of like the level of animals and plants, like trees and the like. That's what I believe to be the second dimension slash density. The third density dimension is obviously, us, humans, um, agriculture, or things of that like, elements. And when you think about agriculture, think of where it's driven this society. What is agriculture? It's harvesting of the land, irrigation, you know, and it's given us a great many things, but it's also taken away a great many things. There was a discussion posted some time ago online about agriculture, and they say that Saturn is the god of agriculture and time and space. So just think about that for a minute, guys. Just think about that for a minute. And so anyway, the fourth dimension slash density, I'm pretty vague on. I believe we're entering that now. I remember a dossier I had about the Illuminati and a defector who called himself Hidden Hand. And he stated that only those souls which serve Satan, Saturn, whatever, and basically sell their soul over to him will reach the fourth density, which I believe is what's coming after the catastrophic event that is supposedly prophesized. And then, like I said, the fifth dimension from my studies is a dimension and density which is barely physical and exists in between each physical incarnation. And time in this density and dimension is reverse time. So it's pretty deep, guys. It's really, you really have to wrap your head around it and analyze it and think about it, and you have to want to learn about it, or you're not going to get far with it. So that's about it for today, everyone. I love you all, and I hope you've gained a little bit of insight from my vlog today, and I hope to make more soon. Be well.